Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the Mindeleff cavates. Dozens of caves with hundreds of rooms. I was reading on the internet how sometimes people find shards of pottery out here. If we find some, awesome, but I'm not gonna disturb it. Hello, hello, hello? Wow. That is awesome. Looks like we just got one room in here. Any petroglyphs? Probably not. I don't think I'll crawl through here. I might just go around instead. You can see all these smaller little holes in the wall here. I wonder if they weren't carved out too, or if some of them aren't the work of recent visitors. Check it out. So there's the hole that we were just on the other side of. Amazing. I'm not going to disturb things too much here. We're just going to look. I'm not going to go flipping any rocks or anything like that. Looks like there's animal droppings in there. Peek in here. Oh, it smells like poop. Bowls were used for food storage, maybe? You go in there, it's like 10, 15 degrees cooler. You come out here, you start baking again. I really wish I would have brought my mask. You can just smell the feces in there. That wave of poop smell just coming out here. Ugh.
According to ArizonaRuins.com, these cavates were explored by archaeologist Cosmos Mindeleff and his wife Marion, although I couldn't find a picture of her. They conducted the first detailed archaeological surveys of over 50 major sites in the Verde Valley around 1891. And this site consists of 89 separate dwellings and a total of around 343 rooms, and we're going to explore as many as we can get to. The first few cavates that I had gone into were littered with the remnants of what looked like materials from birds' nests, along with chunks of rock that had broken off of the ceilings and walls, and of course, rodent droppings, which is why you'll see me covering my face in certain parts of the video. At this point, I was pretty shocked that I hadn't ran into any bats, as the sign I passed in the beginning warned me about their presence. A few people on another video that I did out here also warned me about the exact same thing, but I wasn't going to let my guard down, and I continued to enter each cavate with caution.
Well, what the hell is that? Cigarette butt. You know what? I completely understand why people smoke, because I do on and off. And when I need them, they're great. But to leave them in here is a freaking insult. So we're gonna put that in my pocket and throw it away later. I'm not gonna crawl back there. But here's a look.
As I poked my head into each of the cavates, it felt like I was entering a whole different world. It was such a surreal experience to be walking through here and imagining what day-to-day life was like for the natives many years ago. And in just a few minutes, I'll go into a little more detailed history. Before I came back out here, I did some research on the area and I came across the website arizonaruins.com, which supplied a lot of great information, and I found an old photo taken by Mindeleff back in 1891, and it shows a stone wall which appears to be on the outside of the caves. It also states that there are no standing walls remaining today. And while that's mostly true, I did find a partial stone wall.
Looks like they used stones there and pasted them together with mud. It looks like there's probably some smaller ones over there, but we're gonna hike back down and then go into that one. Then once we're in there, I might have lunch.
Now, throughout the video, you've heard me use the word cavate multiple times, and if you saw my previous video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you that might be checking out my channel for the very first time, let me get you caught up to speed. The term cavate refers to a man-made cave, as these were carved out by the Sinagua people. The word Sinagua comes from the Spanish sin agua, which means without water. And it's kind of ironic because they had plenty of it living right next to the Verde River, and back in those days, the river would have been a lot higher and a lot wider. The term cavate was made popular by an American geologist named John Wesley Powell, and the term was used to differentiate this type of dwelling from the common cliff dwellings. Now, to be a little more clear on that, most cliff dwellings like Montezuma's Castle and Tonto National Monument, these stone structures were built into the side of naturally formed alcoves on the sides of cliffs. But the cavates were man-made and carved out of the soft sandstone. There's a thing you know. Fun facts: John Wesley Powell also led the first scientific expedition on the Colorado River, and it's also who Lake Powell is named after in northern Arizona. And this next part is kind of irrelevant, but he kind of looks like that homeless prospector in the Brady Bunch that locked them in the jail cell when they were on their way to the Grand Canyon.
What am I doing? I'm stopping you slickers from stealing my claim. That's what I'm doing.
What claim?
What claim?
I'm pretty sure the lesson in that episode was never follow a creepy old man that hasn't showered in weeks into an abandoned building. If you ask me, they kinda had that coming. The hike up to this set of cavates wasn't that difficult, but it wasn't easy either. It was short, but I was also hiking up loose, fragile rock, which means if you don't have your feet well planted onto the ground or the wind catches you and throws you off your balance, you're gonna come tumbling down this jagged cliff. And while you more than likely wouldn't die, I also wouldn't go making any plans that involve getting out of bed for the next week. And make sure you have good health coverage. It felt pretty good to be done with that short trek and out of the sun, and the view from here was absolutely stunning.
So across the wash here was the area we were just at, and there's that one prominent cave entrance over there that almost looks like it has a frame right in the center there. Once we're done here, I'm gonna go back over to that one because that one's just calling my name. This is where I've been hanging out the past few minutes, just kind of resting a little bit. We got some stones over here with some little tiny pieces of rock on top of them. Those almost look like they could be like shards of old pottery. That one's got two different colors to it.
As I was exploring this set of cavates, I couldn't help but wonder, how old are they? Well, after a couple seconds on Google, it didn't take long to get an answer. The Sinagua people called this place home around 1150 to 1350 AD. I also found a picture of an interpretive sign that stated, the waters were nearly 20 feet higher than they are now. And I know time machines don't exist, but it would be so fascinating to go back in time to see what the area looked like back then. The last time I was out here exploring with my drone, I thought to myself, It must have been really tough being a parent back in those days and trying to make sure that your kids don't fall off the cliffs on a daily basis. But now that I know the water was nearly 20 feet higher back in those days, I bet the water came right up to the edge you see right here, which also means the shoreline was probably only about 10 to 15 feet from the entrances to most of these cavates. After a while, I was pretty sure I was going to run into other hikers exploring the caves. It was a gorgeous day out, and I saw many cars parked along the river, but I got pretty lucky. I had the entire place to myself.
I would really love to explore each and every one of these caves, but I don't think we're gonna be able to. And that's okay, because I'm gonna leave some for you guys to explore. For those of you that come out here after I make this video, I'll leave you some wonder and curiosity.
Just a quick heads up to anyone that sees this video and decides to make the trip out here to explore the cavates, you're probably going to be doing a lot of crouching. I'm 5'10", and while there were plenty of caves that I could fully stand upright in, there were also plenty of caves that I had to crouch just to get into. The main entrances to the caves had a lot of room, but if you plan on exploring the additional smaller rooms, you'll be doing a lot of crouching and possibly be getting on your hands and knees just to enter them.
No petroglyphs, but I've been seeing tons of these little lines here. Wonder if that wasn't from wildlife? Just keeps on going and going. I think we could probably fit through this one. Let's check on the weather. Nice and sunny. I really hope my raft is protected and nobody's messing with it. Otherwise, we're going swimming. Wow. There's so many little holes and crevices. Kind of makes you wonder. Or actually, it doesn't make me wonder, but I bet every little hole and crevice served a purpose. Be real careful. I'm not going to go all the way in. Oh, we're not focusing. Come on. There we go. Just got done with lunch, and we've been charging my camera and my gimbal through this solar powered charging bank. It takes like 7 hours to fully charge when you plug it into the wall, but while it's charging, it's also taking in power through the sun. And you can get multiple charges on any device with this power bank. It's got a wireless charger as well, and a couple more cords on the back to plug in your devices. I think it takes like 3 days in straight sunlight to charge that thing from 0 to 100% using the solar panels. But this is a lifesaver on trips like this. And it's even got a flashlight here as well. I'll link all of this equipment down in the description for you guys in case you want to check it out. The cool thing about this portable power bank is, so my drone remote is on its last LED, which means it's going to die soon, is you can stuff this portable power bank into the side compartment of your backpack, and if you have a long enough USB-C cord, it'll reach around and charge your stuff while you're on the go, so that way you don't have to sit and wait. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to hike out of this cliff here, out of this cave, and go across the wash, and we're going to hike up to that one cave entrance with that really defined frame around it. And then after that, we're gonna try to find that one cave that looks like what I call the lounge cave. I think it's somewhere over there. I don't know, they all kind of look alike, but the one that we're going to is right there. This is the one that I really wanted to see. We made it! See if I can get in there a little bit. Oh, this one kind of smells. Some shoe prints in there.
Now, the cavates aside, this was such a fun and enjoyable hike with many different elements, exploring the caves, hiking up and down the cliffside, and keeping an eye out on the ground for any relics. And of course, paddling across the Verde River in an inflatable also added to the experience, which you'll see that here in just a few moments.
This is the cavate that really perked my interest the last time I was here, because to me it just kind of has a lounge look to it. Meaning you could sit here, sit there. I was sitting here just a few minutes ago. And I always try to put myself in the shoes of the natives and just try to pick their brain. But this would be a great place to sit in the morning and have your whatever it was that you ate and just stare out at the valley. Last time I was out here, I thought there was a bunch of petroglyphs on these walls. But I haven't seen any, like in the shapes of any humans or animals or anything that looks like a genuine symbol.
What you didn't see in the beginning of the video was me parking my car, hiking down to the river, blowing up my inflatable raft, and paddling across the river. Now there is 2 ways you can get to the cavates, and one of them is the way I'm going to show you now, and the other is parking at the top of the cliffs and hiking down. However, I chose not to do that one because I would have burnt up a lot of energy on the way down. And I've also read that it can be a fairly risky hike, being that you're trekking down loose rock, but hey, do whatever floats your boat. I stashed my raft in some trees just to make sure that nobody would find it and steal it, and if they did, I would have had one hell of a time getting across that river.
So we're gonna flip that upside down, then we're gonna bring it over there and cross the river. Hopefully I can find a good spot. The only thing that I'm worried about, I'll show you. So I crossed like right there, and as you can see, the current is pretty strong. So it pushed me down till about right here, and I was able to get some control of the raft. I don't think I will be able to paddle up there, so I think I'm just gonna go downstream. It looks like there's a sandbar there I can land on and then hike up the rest of the way. Might be a little bit of a hike, but I don't really have a choice. Well, we made it to the other side. That inflatable is no Chris Craft, but we made it. Can't have too many high expectations when you pay, what, $20 for it at a sporting goods store? But it did the job.
Thank you everyone for tuning into this week's video. I greatly appreciate that. And if you want to keep the adventures going, click the video on the upper left to continue the fun, because if you don't, you'll end up stubbing your toe in the morning.